Yo, if you watch my channel, I think I've made it pretty obvious that I'm more of a manga reader than an anime watcher. And it's not that I don't like anime, it's just it takes so much time and I just don't have the attention span. And anime just feels like such a distraction. Like, you can't multitask while you watch anime. That's why I like manga, because I can read while I listen to music or while I listen to something else. You can't do that with anime. You gotta be locked in on the screen. And manga's just so much more time efficient. But part of me does miss when I was an anime only watcher, because there's just something different about seeing things for the first time and they're being voice acted and animated and they got the music playing, the emotions is hitting. You don't really get that in manga. It just feels like with anime having their direction, and again, like I mentioned, music and animation, it should amplify the source material basically every time. But then what baffles me is there are anime that don't do this at all. They refuse to use any of the tools that they have to amplify the source material. And those are always the most frustrating series to watch, because you know it could be so much better than what it is. This is one of the major reasons I had to just drop the Tokyo Revengers anime. Now, the Tokyo Revengers manga itself isn't perfect. It definitely had its fumbles, especially towards the latter half of the series. But I'm tired of people acting like early on in Tokyo Revengers they didn't have some good ass writing. At least in the manga, there are so many moments in that first half of Tokyo Revengers that are so good and so emotionally resonant. And then you watch the anime and you get none of that emotion. The animation is average at best, and at the worst times is god awful. The direction is awful. The art direction is awful. Everything just looks flat and empty. And because of the way it's directed, it feels like there's no weight to anything. So nothing feels like it really matters. And because of the way that it's directed and paced, it makes all the characters look like idiots, even though they already look like idiots in the manga. But in the anime, it's 10 times worse. The moment that really did it for me was the Taiju church scene, because that was the moment, all my Tokyo Revengers manga readers know, that was the moment that everybody was excited to see in the anime. That's like Takemichi's best moment as a character, because in the manga, this moment is so emotional, and you really get the feeling that Takemichi is putting his life on the line and sacrificing. And you really feel the impact of each blow and how much it's taking for Takemichi to not fall. That's why it's so frustrating when you get to that part of the anime and it's just Takemichi getting his head slapped around for 3 episodes straight like fucking Tom and Jerry. There's no impact or weight to anything. You don't get any feeling that this beating is any worse or any different than any other beating Takemichi has taken throughout the whole series. It just feels like more of the same. Hey, I have a long list of problems with the Tokyo Revengers anime. Whatever studio did that anime, I want everybody that works there jailed, because that shit is just such a fumble of a series that could have been so much more popular. But the main problem is what I mentioned, that lack of weight and impact, and the way that the direction doesn't get across the seriousness of the moment, which is a very similar problem to what I see happening in My Hero Academia. We've all seen the memes about the war arc and how there's blue skies and it's a sunny, great day when thousands of people are dying. But My Hero Academia has had this problem for a while. And it's crazy because in the beginning, the direction for My Hero Academia was so good. Like, those first 3 seasons, those is classics. I don't give a f what nobody say. Like, you don't understand how much I loved My Hero Academia those first 3 seasons. That shit was like the first anime that I really heavy with, and that shit made me watch basically all the other anime I watched after that. As a matter of fact, My Hero Academia was the first manga I picked up because I could not wait to see what happened in the story after season 3. And while I liked what I saw in the manga, when it got animated, it was mid. I already don't think the overhaul arc was all that great in the manga. I think it was pretty good, but My Hero Academia fans overhyped the fuck out that bitch. But still, some of the things they did in the anime were mind-boggling. Like, we all remember the fight between Mirio and Overhaul, another heavily anticipated moment in the anime, and they gave us a fucking slideshow. Like, bro, this isn't Yu Yu Hakusho. It's not 1996. This is a modern day shonen anime being done by a massive studio, and they give us a slideshow? Tokyo Revengers is one thing. That shit comes from a studio you don't expect anything from. But My Hero Academia is done by Studio Bone, and we know what Bones can do when they really want to. Like, comparing the treatment My Hero Academia gets to Mob Psycho and how much effort goes into fleshing out that series and making it feel unique, and then you go to My Hero Academia and it's blue skies and rainbows while Gran Torino is getting impaled. And it would be one thing if they did this for the transitionary periods of the story where, you know, you can kind of play these parts straight. great. You don't need to do anything fancy or give it any crazy animation, but there are pivotal parts of the story that y'all give no care to, like My Villain Academia, my personal favorite arc in the series, at least in the manga. This is one of the most important parts of the series. Everything that happens after this arc is because of this arc, and you really feel that in the manga. You feel how much of a monumentous change this is, but in the anime, they don't give a damn. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that image of Shigaraki right after he awakens and everything, but there's such a stark contrast from what it's like in the manga versus in the anime, because in the manga, this nigga steps out and he looks like a god. He looked like he just awakened the sun god Nika fruit. But in the manga, he steps out and he looks like the same dirty nigga just with white hair. And that bothered me more than anything else, because Shigaraki is one of my favorite villains of all time. And this is one of those moments that made him one of my favorite villains of all time. And they didn't give a damn. They treated that shit like it was a regular Sunday. Now obviously, My Hero Academia is a very stressful production. They gotta make all these movies and shit every like 2 or 3 years for some reason. But it's so frustrating as a viewer to see this happening to a series and seeing the path that it's going down, especially when you know how good it can be. Even season 6, I saw a lot of people praising season 6, saying this is the best My Hero Academia has been in a long time, but it doesn't really feel like that's because of the direction. It just feels like the source material for that section of the story was that good that the fact that the animation was super average didn't matter as much. Aside from certain cuts I saw, like the one with Mirko, and yeah, really the only one I remember is the one with Mirko. But those were like solid, right? But you know what these animators could do given the time. And it makes it so frustrating to watch as a fan. Especially in emotional moments, like when Twice dies. It was cool, it wasn't horrible, but I was expecting for that moment to be so much more gut-wrenching. And it was just kind of like, oh, Twice is dead. In the manga, you felt that shit, which also diminishes the impact of Hawks and his own struggle with dealing with Twice. And the feelings of Dabi, oh. In the manga, that shit was so good. Obviously, My Hero Academia's anime is not the worst thing ever. It is nowhere near the worst anime adaptation we've ever seen. There's shit like The Promised Neverland where they just skip whole arcs, and obviously I just talked about Tokyo Revengers, so there is worse out there. But I think the combination of how underwhelming it is, with how popular My Hero Academia is, with what studio is doing My Hero Academia and what they are capable of, it just makes it a special type of irritating to see this series get neglected like it has. But yeah, man, that's all I got for today. Let me know what you think about the adaptation of My Hero Academia in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Oh, so you gonna tell me you didn't like the video? You just watched this whole video and you didn't like the video. I ain't gonna tell you again. Subscribe to the channel, and yeah, man, I'm gone.